Hello, everyone, and welcome to this CX Network webinar brought to you by CX Network and our partners at Argano. Today, we will be discussing service intelligence, what it is, and how you can implement it into your customer experience strategy. So joining me today is Greg Moser, who is VP of Customer Experience at Argano. Greg has over 25 years of experience implementing transformative CX programs, and he's been involved in some of the biggest CX deployments globally. We're also joined by Sundar Raghavan, who is Vice President of Intelligent Business Applications at Microsoft. So Sundar is an industry veteran with over 2 decades of experience delivering and running mission-critical business applications and hyperscale distributed systems. He's worked with data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence for over 2 decades, powering experiences for billions of users worldwide and millions of businesses. And last but certainly not least, we're also joined by Rob Teese, who is Vice President of Business Technology at AAON. So Rob has expertise across a wide range of technology platforms, and he oversees the deployment of AAON's ECAT selection software, along with the CRM, SAP transformation, and tech support. So you guys are in such good hands. Before I do hand over to our wonderful speakers, there are a couple of housekeeping points just to take you guys through. So first of all, we are recording this webinar, so it will be available on demand at the end of the session. We'll be sending you an email on how to access that. If you want to revisit any talking points, you can go ahead and do that. Secondly, do remember that our Q&A box and our reactions box is open. So at the bottom of your interface, you will be able to submit questions to us. Our chat box is also open. Go ahead and drop your LinkedIn in there. Say hi, say where you're joining from. We'd love to hear from you. And finally, be sure to check our resources box, which you should also find at the bottom of your interface. In there, you'll find a report written by CX Network and Argano about how AI is going to shape CX in 2025. But without further ado, it's my pleasure to hand you over to Greg Moser. Thank you so much.
All right. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for taking time to spend the next hour with us. So we are very excited to be presenting service intelligence and the 2025 trends that we're seeing. We're also going to discuss best practices and things of that nature. So as we mentioned, from an agenda perspective, we're going to very quickly talk about service intelligence. What does it mean? Why is it important? And what do we need to be thinking about to execute on these best practices? From there, we're going to move into Microsoft, the new frontier. And man, I tell you, Sundar's moving fast with all the innovation and the technology that he is putting out there. It's pretty impressive from that standpoint. So then what we're going to do is Rob is going to talk about what does it mean to put your customers first? How do you create high performance and customer intelligence as it collates to your clients, your partners, your alliances, and your shareholders? And then we're going to close out, just recap a couple best practices, and then we're going to open it up to the presenters for a Q&A. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So what does service intelligence mean? And really, when you look at the definition of CX, it's the interaction touch points across any business unit, any channel, any group at any time, and providing that superior level of service. So customer intelligence always starts with data segmentation, data insights. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the importance of persona-driven journeys, really understanding the dependencies between your constituents. We're going to talk about Copilot, then smart KPIs. Then what is CX Connect for service intelligence? That's an asset and accelerator that helps visualize these things to give you assets to information to make informed business decisions. And then it's all about AI and Copilot from that standpoint. We're really going to dive in. Sundar is going to show you some of the amazing work that the team's done. And then Rob's going to talk about how he's institutionalized this internally to provide that superior level of service. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, from a point of view perspective, what we're seeing every single time is the the data is kind of driving these types of initiatives. When you look at McKinsey on the left-hand side, and then you look at some of the other attributes from CX Connect and things of that nature, it really gives you the ability. Bear with me here 1 second. I think I'm having some technical difficulties, so it's not sharing. So 2 seconds. Sorry about that. All right, we're getting back in motion. All right, so sorry about that, folks. We're having some technical difficulties. So I'm going to go back. Now, Sundar is going to talk about all the autonomous agents and things of that nature. So we're really going to see the technology innovation from that standpoint. Now, what are we seeing from a customer service point of view? When we look at the trends, McKinsey, we always align to some of the analysts just to make sure we're directionally correct. So the trends that we're seeing are around all things data analytics, data governance and data quality, omni-channel. We need to provide those superior level of services to our clients, regardless of channel. We need to start with the journeys to make sure that we're capturing those counter dependencies between people, process, and technology, and then moving into the employee performance development and the retention, in addition to providing knowledge management and insight. So when we go through these types of scenarios, we really look at it from this point of view to make sure that as we move forward with these technologies, we're really achieving the business values that our customers are looking for. Now, it's interesting when you look at AI and the evolution and the shifts. I mean, just 4 years, go back, 2022, we're looking at things like data analytics, artificial intelligence, chatbots, and that was really where we're at. Now you fast forward to 2025 and you look at all the transformational items, autonomous agents, AI-powered technologies, chatbots, virtual assistants. I mean, we are moving at the speed of light. As soon as you have a defined process, there's new technologies coming out. So what we're really kind of looking at from that standpoint is ways to kind of keep aligned to the technology curve, not getting caught up in the noise. And we have a couple of best practices that we want to look at from that standpoint. Now, when we look at deploying these types of initiatives, we all want to get to these outcomes. We all want to see OpEx reduction, revenue increase, the value propositions and things like that. But, what has prevented us from getting there? The industry has been around for quite some time. Customer experience centers traditionally struggle with these types of initiatives, to get the value out. One of the primary reasons is because of data. This is a interesting slide, and this is a slide that Kate Leggett at Forrester uses. This was a customer of hers back in the day. Highly recommend that you do check out her content. She has a lot of great content that ties into this particular space. But look at the different systems. This was a multi-billion-dollar customer, and because of the inefficiencies in the technology architecture, the journey for each customer was painful. I read an article earlier that said that out of a certain segment, people would rather go get their teeth cleaned or go to the DMV than speak to a customer service agent. So again, this is why. And the technology is finally here, and Sundar is really going to kind of address that. And Rob's going to speak to how they're applying it. But we're there to where we can actually achieve the business outcomes by bridging the various islands of data together. And this is where you really need to start. Secondly, when you start these types of initiatives, you need to look at it from a persona-based journey perspective. meaning, customers, how do they interact with you? What channels do they use? What is their preference? No longer can we dictate what channels our customers use, because if we do that, then they defect. There's so many other options that they have as a customer, and we need to make sure that we're providing that superior level of service to them, regardless of channel, regardless of business unit, regardless of application. And then you have the constituents, both internal and external. So you have your agents, supervisors, service leaders. We have 20% defection in these types of scenarios where agents turn over up to 50% on the high end. We have customers that have 120% turnover. So think about that. Understanding the journey is going to be critical as you move these initiatives forward from that standpoint. Now, another thing that you really need to kind of focus on as you start, going through these journeys is KPIs, and they need to be smart. And what I mean by that is they need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Don't try to boil the ocean because of the data, issues that companies have. Start small and build up from it, but make sure the KPIs are smart. Make sure that you can optimize them, and more importantly, make sure you can measure them and action off them. So again, laundry lists the KPIs that we see. Everybody's chasing the same thing. We want CSAT improvements. We want first call resolution. We want to drive self-service. Every time an agent picks up the phone, it can be $6 to $19, right? So when we can self-service, we're driving those OpEx costs down. So again, start with smart KPIs. And then lastly, when you go into these types of initiatives, make sure you have a predictable, repeatable, and scalable delivery methodology. You got to make sure that you bridge all those islands of data. You make sure that all the personas are aligned. You have organizational alignment. And having a predictable, repeatable methodology can help mitigate your risk as you go through these journeys and transformations. Now, before we jump into the next presentation, we're going to hear from Sundar. He's going to talk about all the great things that they're doing over at Microsoft and how they're changing the game. And then Rob's going to talk about how he's applying this balance to increase shareholder value and customer satisfaction, through AI, through the Microsoft technology. But what we need to really think about is data first. What are the dependencies in data as you move these initiatives forward? As we mentioned earlier, persona-based journeys. Treat me like a customer. Treat me like a shareholder. Don't treat me like a transaction. That is what's going to differentiate you from the competition. Make sure that you have the smart KPIs and you have the predictability in your program delivery. Be fearless, but have frameworks and boundaries. And we'll talk about how not to get caught up in the AI technology hype at the end of the presentation. And then always think balance. People, process, technology. Think of an equilateral triangle. You have to have that balance to be able to ensure success. And then the last two aspects, organizational alignment, consensus. We'll talk about that as we move forward, but that is going to be critical. And then make sure you have the roadmap defined. Those are the critical things that as we move through the presentation, we want you to start thinking about from that perspective. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn over to Chloe, who's going to do a poll. And then we're going to move it into Sundar, who's going to talk about all the wonderful things that they're doing from a Microsoft perspective. So how important is personalization in your customer service strategy? Very important, somewhat important, neutral, not important, or not at all important. If everybody just wants to fill it out, we'll submit the results, and it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sundar once the results come up. And Sundar, the floor is yours.
It looks like I have to request for share, which I did.
Okay. I'm going to pause share, stop share.
Right. Let me just do. And then I need to share sound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think there's a demo here, so hopefully not able to click on share sound and optimize for video sharing.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
see. You got it, or you still having issues?
That the Zoom box for share sound and optimize for best video sharing. That's not really allowing. Click on it.
There may be a screen hidden, Sundar. So try to Alt Tab and see if there's a screen behind this one that says share.
Right. No, I have the share. I'm in the share dialog, but I'm not able to click on the share sound and share optimize for video share. Let me go ahead and share, and then we'll get, if I need to reshare, I'll do that. Is everyone sharing? Let's see, seeing the screen?
Yep, we can see it. You may want to open up to full screen mode.
Yep, I'm doing that. Do you still see the old one, or?
No, that looks good to me now.
Looks full screen?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Okay, awesome. Morning, afternoon, evening, different parts of the day to everyone. Great start by Greg Moser. He touched on something very important. So I wanted to kind of, before I get into what Microsoft is doing in this space, I wanted to add on to what Greg said. He mentioned people, process, and technology. I also want to emphasize the fourth P on that, which is the partner. That's your technology partner, that's your systems partner. Every customer that I work with that are hugely successful have bet on the right platform and have the right partner. We work very closely with Argano. So I just want to give huge props to those folks. You will see when Rob shares his results and what his experience has been, how Argano has been helping us all shape the world with this new technology. With that, my name is Sundar Raghvan. I run the business intelligence or intelligent business applications team. My goal here today is to share with you what we have been seeing. Generative AI is massively disrupting the overall CRM space. What used to be individual categories, sales, marketing, and service, are all converging. The reason that is the case is all of us collectively as customers have high expectations. Greg talked about it, multi-channel experiences, interactive responses, quick resolutions are par for the course in the modern world. What has been difficult for companies is data, which powers all these experiences, is in silos. Processes are siloed, therefore the experience is siloed. Companies get to know their customers in a sales way that is not known to marketing or to service. What we are trying to do is to provide one unified platform where, with a common data model underneath the covers, all these individual journeys can be instantiated. You can start with the sales journey, you can start with the marketing journey, and you can start with the service journey, but everything is connected with each other. And that allows AI to power those experiences across the board. Companies that have this connected experience have been known to provide 2x better impact to their business. McKinsey studies show that. So it's very important from a technological perspective to provide that platform that a partner, systems partner, can bring it alive for you. And that's what we are doing. This is our end-to-end solution. On the left, you see consumers who can pick and choose any channel of choice. Greg touched on it. Backed by intelligent agents, voice agents, chatbots, and so on and so forth, that can handle majority of the inbound requirements and quickly answer them from a solution repository. Should an escalation be required, AI-powered unified routing will find the correct expert. The nice thing about our platform is that expert is now augmented with artificial intelligence-based technology. So every one of your support reps can be your super rep, meaning you no longer have to worry about how long will it take for me to train. There's a difference between an experienced rep versus non-experienced rep. You can empower them all to have the right technology, right information at their fingertips. The reason why we are able to do it is underneath the covers. I described the common data model earlier. Now we have infused generative AI throughout our experience from the initial point of engagement in a channel all the way through to super agents and then supervisors as well. That's why you will see in a few minutes when we do a demo that you are able to deliver the connected experience for your customers. One thing I want to touch on quickly is, again, Greg shared some of this earlier. Gone are the days will be where you have contact center agents sitting next to each other, talking over the headset and meeting with customers virtually. And you have heard those noises in the background in a contact center scenario. That's history. Where we are already is individual service reps working from anywhere in the world, equipped with Copilot. That's what happened the last 2-3 years. Where we are headed is those service reps will become domain experts who are actually overseeing Copilots and team of AI agents connecting with the customer. That future is not too far away. It's not a science fiction. It's very much within our grasp in the next 3 to 5 years. And we are setting up the platform to do that. An important part of this is to recognize that Copilot and AI agents will be multimodal. So it would not be just about chat or voice. In fact, an AI agent can converse with another AI agent to get an answer from an API or for a system that's behind a firewall. And then individual apps powered by AI can be communicated with AI agents. This multimodality is crucial to deliver breakthrough experiences for your customers. What we have done currently in preview is the idea of AI learning loops. On the left, you see a customer engaging with the business, and Copilot is engaging with the customer in the channel of their choice, determining the intent. That's what the customer intent agent is doing. Next, that intent agent, upon determination, can pull the right solution from the solution library, which is a repository of well-known answers, standard operating steps, or step-by-step resolution guides, and gives it back to the customer, whether it's in a chatbot or an AVR scenario. Not all cases may be resolved that way. So you have a case management agent that takes over if an escalation is required to a human agent or human support rep. That support rep is identified based on their skill set, availability, and prior customer conversations by an AI-powered unified routing engine. As the conversation takes place between the human and the customer, a knowledge management agent behind the scenes is assisting the support rep with intelligence, at the same time mining the conversation to create a new knowledge article or update an existing one. The power of the self-feeding learning loop, the dual loop that is happening, is the knowledge always stays current. It is made available to self-service. More and more of such engagements can be handled through upfront. As a result, when the learning loops are in play, over time, you will see a vast majority of support cases can be done through self-service, and assisted experience service will still be available, but they'll only be available through service AI supervisors. You can see a world where this is heading towards. Less and less of such human interaction may be needed. AI will be powered with really all the knowledge that the company want to make it available to customers to resolve their problem. The net result of that is customers on the left will get faster resolution at a happier state than really having to be bumped around within the contact center across domain experts. We launched middle of last year, Dynamics 365 Contact Center. The difference between what we had done before as omnichannel and this product is now you are able to take this and put it on top of any existing CRM that you might have. Everything that I've shown, customer intent agent and the knowledge management agent, it is available as part of the contact center product that you can pick and choose the channel of your choice. Try it out and let us know how it works out for your situation. In October of last year, Satya announced as part of his AI tour, 12 agents, 3 of which are in customer service. Customer intent agent. This is an AI agent that works behind the scenes to autonomously mine intents or classifications of problems the customers are experiencing in how they express it in their conversation and group them together. Once the intent is determined, it's mapped to a list of solutions or knowledge available. It could be a knowledge-based article. It could be multiple process steps. It could be a standard operating procedure steps. That's available through customer knowledge management agent. Case management is required should those conversations prolong, not within the first point of contact, but over multiple days. That's what case management agent will do. It'll keep track of the conversation. It'll allow for easy handover to another person. All three products are available in our core customer service, and contact center provides the first two because the case management is handled elsewhere. Let me show you a quick demo. I want to make sure that I'm going to stop share and then reshare it so that the demo video and audio comes together. I'm going to go ahead and share. And I hope the host has enabled sharing of audio and video because I'm not able to click. So let's see if that allows. Right. Let's see this. Let me go ahead and play this. Can everyone hear the audio?
I can see the video, but not hear the audio.
Okay, I think the way we started the webinar, I don't have an option to turn on the audio. I'm not sure how to. Okay, let me just do. Then what I will do is to.
Sundar, is there a drop-down menu anywhere?
So when I go to share, there is the right-hand side. There are two buttons: share audio and then optimize for video. Those are not clickable.
Okay, bear with me 1 second.
If you can't figure it out, I will just narrate it out. So I've done this enough times. I know what to say. It won't be as professional as the built-in audio, but I'll do my best.
That might be best for now. Thank you.
All right, cool. So what I wanted to share with you is I'm going to, since given the technical issue, I'm going to just scrub the video as we go along. Hopefully you'll hear the whole story, not a professionally narrated way, but in my own personal poor man's way. What I'm about to show you is all three agents in action. Here, I'm just going to go forward. You'll see all three of them working together. So just bear with me as I do this. Right. So here I'm a support rep. I'm beginning my day. The first thing you will notice is when I get a call on the left-hand side, you see a chat coming in. I no longer have to spend time identifying the customer or their field. Everything that you see here, right in the middle, cloud displays unknown error, customer is having issue, that is automatically filled by the AI agent. So the product recognizes, personalizes the conversation, immediately fills out the form. As I step forward, you will see AI is always available for me to help. So on the left-hand side, you see the conversation summary. If the conversation has been going on for a while, I can immediately ask for a summary of conversation. You will also see AI is available for me as I go along across the board. Here it just quickly identified different types of fields based on the conversation. It automatically filled out the title, the type, the product, and the description. So I can focus on the conversation that I have with the customer. I'm not required to go through individual tabs and fill out the forms. You will also see as I go forward, immediately AI is jumping in to help based on the conversation summary and the conversation dialogue that's taking place. On the right-hand side, it is immediately providing me the highlight of the conversation, and it has suggested actions for the service rep to provide immediate step-by-step guidance to the customer. If I scroll forward, as I continue this conversation, every one of these engagements will result in an intent agent kicking in and determining the intent of the conversation. Not only will it do that, it is available for me to use the historical knowledge that I have in the company. So here what I'm showing you is I can point the customer intent agent against historical cases and conversations that have taken place. that will automatically mine from that history, successfully resolved cases and where the difficulties have been, and create intent groups that will help the customer get a faster response. You will see that's AI is doing all that work behind the scenes. Those intents are classified into intent groups. That way, there can be multiple intents that is part of a complex problem. Each one of those complex steps can be further resolved over time. You will see that the system is able to do that. Now, once you determine an intent through a natural conversation, the intent agent will invoke a knowledge agent or knowledge management agent to find for a given determined intent or a nature of the problem, what is the appropriate solution? So you will see that is available, and immediately it will provide a step-by-step guide to the customer or the support rep. You can go forward. Not only will it provide, it will actually find out if the current knowledge article is up to date. One of the biggest pain points within contact centers is knowledge articles become outdated as new product releases and things happen, processes change. Here, as the support rep figures out what is happening, the system will automatically either create a new article or provide a review for the support rep or a domain expert, could be a knowledge supervisor, say Mark has reviewed. Once that's done, it's available for all future conversations to be updated. This way, the knowledge remains evergreen and up to the minute. That's the work that AI is doing behind the scenes. So as I continue forward, you will see case notes and so on and so forth. At any point in time, on the right-hand side, my personal co-pilot is always available. So if something is not clear, the customer inquiry is difficult, or the problem is something that I have not seen as a support rep, co-pilot's here, it'll jump in and help. And it'll help me draft emails, it'll provide the appropriate response as you see fit. So as I go forward in the journey, you will see now not only the individual cases were created as part of the conversations. Remember the intent and the knowledge management, individual cases were created. It automatically keeps track of what the issue is and what the detailed notes are. That way, when I have to hand it off to someone else, that is easy to provide. This journey continues. Behind the scenes, the case management agent is keeping track of the conversations. One of the things we find ourselves in is case support agents, while they are dealing with real life cases, also have to do follow-ups on prior cases. We might have submitted a solution, customer need to be updated, or customer need to call back and confirm that the solution really worked. That is what the AI agents is doing, case management agents is doing, that automatic follow-up. It will remind the customer, have you updated your configuration, whatever it might be, and then appropriately craft the response. And as I proceed forward, it automatically drafts the email with the follow-up solution. And finally, the dialogue continues on. And once the dialogue continues on, at some point, when the resolution comes up, here it says, hey, all these things reported issues, we provide the resolution, we did the follow-up, and it gives the support rep a chance to review all of that and say accept all. That means the case is closed. Nearly 30% of all support tickets that we have come across are in this state of waiting for customer confirmation that ends up opening up over time. By doing that autonomously, we're saving a ton of time for the support rep. They can focus on live cases and conversation with customers having to do with follow-ups and confirmation. So that's what's going on here. Let me go forward, and then while all of that happening, behind the scenes, the knowledge harvesting agent is kicked in, and it keeps track of the conversation, new articles, updates. Now, as a new case comes in through a voice or a chat, this customer intent agent will be able to pull the right up-to-date information and then automatically resolve, increasing your containment. So that's what's going on in this video. And sorry about the technical difficulty. Hopefully, I did justice to demo. Everything that I've shown you is something that we are using actively within Microsoft to transform our support. All three agents are in production, and at the bottom, I'm showing you a live or a verbatim quote from one of our support reps. It used to be the case that individual support reps used to go to Outlook to draft their follow-up emails. Since the system is crafting that as part of following up and closing, they're staying within the app and then sending out those emails automatically. You may wonder, how do I get started? This is where a systems partner is an incredibly great asset. We have products that are available for every part of your journey. Some of you may be in the early part of the journey, so you can get started with contact center voice or chatbots, quickly drive containment with AI, or you may be in the modernized contact center kind of scenario, which is in the middle. You can start with contact center, or you can start with customer service. You may have legacy applications that are all needing to be modernized from a customer service perspective. You can start either way, and then you can get to all-in-one solution, which is the third step, the customer service premium. Every part of the journey, where you begin, how you map your process and technology to suit your business, really depends on having the right systems integration partner. We hear from customers like you quite a bit, and here are some 3 areas that we are investing quite a bit on. There's a lot of emphasis on making voice AI to be a lot more productive. Integrating Copilot with existing corporate knowledge bases, another area that we are looking into. And then a lot of support teams would like any known issues, outages, product recalls, safety notices to be automatically issued. And that is part of proactive engagement. Every such thing can reduce somewhere between 20 to 30% of inbound calls and cases. Every proactive notification can. And we are working on that with AI as well. With that, I wanted to finalize by saying, with our platform, as I talked earlier, selecting the right partner is super important. We are on a blistering pace of innovation. It's an eye candy chart. I don't mean to go through every one of them, but I just wanted you to recognize, when you bet on this platform, Microsoft's platform, you are getting the up-to-date, most recent innovations that we have been launching on a ferocious pace, and that will continue in 2025 as well. With that, let me turn it over to Rob. Rob?
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Sundar. I'm really happy to be participating in this presentation, and hope that you find the content engaging. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see you fine, Rob.
Okay, great. So my name is Rob Tice, and I work for a company called Aon. We're in the HVAC manufacturing space, and we're a company over $1 billion in revenue. We have 5 manufacturing locations, 4,500 employees, and we go to market through independent reps. So our reps have sales offices. They rep Aon products as well as other products. So it's really important for us to support those businesses well. We have 2 brands of equipment. One is the Aon brand, and that's a configurable product. And we sell mostly rooftop units in that brand, and it's semi-custom. And then we have the Basics brand, which is custom equipment, mostly tailored towards the large data center market. We're going through a major digital transformation at Aon, and we're focusing heavily on customer experience. It's really important for us. We're doing that to increase customer satisfaction, build brand loyalty, and we have the will to invest. You know, a lot of companies that start off in this journey that we've encountered and kind of compete with us, they try to put in a quick solution that doesn't really span the gamut. And as you heard from Greg and Sundar, getting data alignment and building good systems is of paramount importance here. We're doing that. We're re-architecting and rebuilding most of the systems that we have right now, and are pretty far along the journey. I'll show you more about that a little later. We have the will to invest. The primary focus of this is to get customer experience where we need it to be. And we also want to lead by example. So we, like I said, go to market through independent sales companies. So we want to be an example to them to show them like what we think good looks like. We've got an integration focus. All of this work that we're doing is being built to make people's lives easier. We don't want the technology to kind of make it harder for us to do business. So as Sundar said, and Greg said as well, we want a single source of truth in the right systems. And we've chosen Dynamics for customer support and sales related data. It's always up to date. And we've spent a lot of time crafting that system so that it's backwards compatible with our existing systems. We have to track warranties for a very long time. We need to look at sales data back for a long history of time. So even though we're going through a massive digital transformation and we're transforming all of our systems, we want it backwards compatible with our data. And all of our processes have been rebuilt recently. What we found when we started this journey is that a lot of the data couldn't be connected together in siloed systems because it really wasn't as just wasn't in a format, or it wasn't a great process to start with. So we really spent the time to piece by piece rebuild our processes and the system simultaneously so that they fit together seamlessly. And now we've got real-time integrations or near real-time integrations to our ERP system, our selection tools, and to our data lake. And what we're doing is we don't want to deal with ID fields any more than necessary. And we want to be able to get down to the core building blocks of what our data is. Like, we want to be able to analyze things, for instance, down to sales metrics, down to the county level. We want people talking about what people are doing and not dealing with ID fields of order details. So connections are now to the human level. We've really focused on the solution. So for our implementation of Dynamics, there is a lot more to the sales side of it, but we just rolled live our support project at the end of last year. And what that consists of is omni-channel voice. All of our phone interactions are going through, and we have Microsoft Copilot connected to that. We've got a sales hub for our partner reps and customers to connect into if they're authenticated through the system. We still get content through email, but we're nudging them to the sales hub. We have connection to our ERP system for job information and bills of material. We've created service level agreements and built a knowledge base so that we can track what we're doing. And that system was built by the people who are doing the support, managers and also subject matter experts built that system. We didn't, from an executive leadership standpoint, we didn't want to, obviously we were involved, but we didn't want to drive that. We want a system that our support groups can use to provide great support. And then we had to rebuild and update a good model of company locations and contacts. All of this was done so that we could have consistency of support and speed of resolution so that we can make people's lives easier. And so what that looks like today is if someone calls in on and say they need to know support on a product, that's going through omnichannel voice. AI is transcribing the call, measuring sentiment. They are pulling up data from order or bill of material and any prior cases. They're feeding that content to whoever the support person is, so that they don't have to look as much stuff up, and they can also support quicker and consistently. And this is, like I said, intended to have a focus on people. We've got all of our externally facing customer service departments in all locations participating. We've completely redesigned the tools that our partner reps and customers use to interact with us. And we're able to better track and provide a better presentation to all users. We're doing this to achieve speed of resolution and provide consistency of support. Here's just a high-level architecture map. At the center of it, we've got a data hub, which is a three-tier data lake that connects all of our data together through different systems. We're combining and coalescing those systems. For our ERP system, we're moving to SAP and the private cloud, S/4HANA, and we're using Dynamics for all of our sales-related and support activities. And so in Dynamics, we have accounts, contacts, quotes, orders, forecasts, goals, territory, cases, and knowledge base currently. And all of that information is being fed into the data lake, as well as information from our selection tools, from our legacy ERP, and also some data from the website. And we've got APIs connecting all that together so we can serve it up for BI reporting. We're using D365 Power Pages to feed data to our Sales Hub and serve up those web pages for content for our partner reps. And we also have some legacy sites, but all of the authentication is on Azure Active Directory B2C, and Rep Central is the entry point to that, and then authentication is past that. It's got industry-leading security. All of it is near real-time integrations, and Dynamics is the source of truth for all sales and support data. Yeah, Sales Hub is for all rep-facing data. Greg asked me to go through some tips and tricks of what we've learned over this journey. And the first thing I would say is that we did a lot of prep work. Granted, maybe not everybody needs to do that, but we needed to rebuild our systems and get data alignment. And so we kind of architected what we thought the system would look like well before we partnered with Argano to implement a system, and we tested that with a lot of data. What we were trying to do is only focus on the data that we need to put in the system to make a difference. We tried to minimize that and not track extraneous things. We also found out that you need to build great teams. That includes your integrator, as Sundar mentioned. Argano has been a great partner for us, and we have kind of worked together to add the pieces and parts, and those have changed over time to have a successful implementation. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and so you need to approach it that way. And really focus on the architecture. We've coalesced a lot of our siloed data into fewer systems that are connected together through great APIs. And another thing we learned is just engagement in the business. We've had a lot of OCM capabilities, and we're getting teams plugged into this roadmap way earlier than we used to in the past. We were also staging the things that we do on our roadmap, considering people, resources, and technology. So what I mean by that, a specific example is around AI. Right now, we're only have the AI connected to our customer support staff, and we're not serving that up on the website yet to our partner reps. That'll be step 2, and then step 3 is we'll have some of that content available for general users. But we want to make sure that we build that great functionality and vet it out properly so that we can expand it going forward. And I will now turn it back over to Greg.
Thank you so much, Rob. So we are going to be starting our Q&A session momentarily. I can see that we've got questions pouring in and reactions as well. Thank you to everyone. It's great to hear your feedback. Please do go ahead and ask any questions that you have. I'm going to kick off first with this question, which is, What are the industry average KPIs you're shooting for? For example, are you looking at average response times for phone calls and email case closure?
Chloe, we do have 3 more slides before we get to the questions. So if you're fine, I'll go ahead and get through those real quick, and then we can jump in. Perfect.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. Sorry, Greg.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So, as you see, Sundar, Rob, myself, I mean, a lot of the themes that we're talking about we're in alignment, right? So let's focus on a couple things before we move into the Q&A. Don't get caught up in the AI hype cycle. Focus on the relevant, mature AI workloads that work for you. Also know that the cost curve is different, meaning, the more, if you look at the hype cycle curve, we have certain elements of AI that are going to be mature 2, 5, 10 years out. Again, the ones that are out farther, you're signing up for more risk. So just be cautious. I think, as Sundar and Rob mentioned, the Microsoft ecosystem is an amazing place to start, has secure data. We'll talk about that in just a second. Then, as Rob mentioned, understand your dependencies. That's going to be key. From a Microsoft perspective, Sundar talked about the stack. I think it's important to bring balance into those discussions, people, process, automation. So whenever we deploy, we look at the people, who's going to use it both internally, externally. We're also going to look at the processes. I mean, Sundar was mentioning disposition. I mean, imagine if you shave 1 minute off every interaction from a disposition times 10,000 interactions a month, a quarter, a year, at $30,000 an average contact center agent's salary. It's significant, right? And it gives more time back to focus on the experience. So bring balance into the discussion. We have built a solution called CX Connect, where we bridged all the islands of data into outcomes so that you can reduce average handle time, agent staffing needs, and obviously reduce the implementation costs to deploy these types of technologies. So there is a barcode that you can scan. Check it out. We'd be more than happy to show it to you as well. Now, critical success factors. I'm not going to go through each one of these, but they are best practices. So make sure that you have a solution blueprint. Like Rob mentioned, they started well before the deployment, which allowed them to get organizationally aligned. Make sure that you understand your risk and assumptions, and then properly budget for these types of programs. Again, make sure the risk tolerance is where it needs to be. And then lastly, service intelligence and roadmap, it always starts there. Just to kind of recap, we talked about the specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound KPIs that we want to establish, and then the delivery balance. And then artificial intelligence, AI, is the hottest trend out there. It's moving at the speed of light. It's something that you need to take, serious consideration around. Jump into it, but be cautious. Bring in your back office teams like compliance, legal. Those things often get in the way, and you want to make sure that you're responsibly delivering and deploying AI, and then make sure you have organizational alignment. And you've heard everyone on this call say data, data, data. That's where it starts. So make sure that you really kind of focus on your data dependencies. And then lastly, avoid the noise. I mean, Copilot is a great way to get some propensity models out there very quickly with a controlled data set that typically passes compliance, legal, regulation, and then aligns to the business needs and outcomes. So, focus on what you can control, focus on areas where the data is secure, and then make sure it aligns to your business. And those are, 4 tips and tricks that we often discuss from that standpoint. Lastly, we do have a follow-up webinar coming up with Jeff Comstock, CVP of Dynamics 365, and our very own John Rostia. And they're going to talk all things AI, the evolution, where it's going from a customer experience perspective. So I do highly recommend that you participate in that webinar as well. We're going to have great speakers and great contents. And then as a reminder, feel free to reach out to Rob and Sundar, myself via LinkedIn. Would love to collaborate for any folks that are looking at deploying these types of technologies, processes, and aligning to their people. So would be more than happy to collaborate. With that said, I'm going to turn over to Chloe for the Q&A session. So Chloe, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Greg. And just so that everyone's aware, following on from what Greg said about connecting on LinkedIn, you can find all of the speakers' LinkedIn profiles via their Zoom profiles, just to make that extra easy for you. So I would love to invite all speakers back to stage, if you will, for our Q&A session. I think this first question, Greg, is for you. So what are the industry average KPIs you're shooting for? So for example, are you looking at average response times for phone calls and email case closure?
Yeah, I mean, those are, the KPIs that we look for in call centers are, we want to measure time, right? Time is money, time impacts CX scores, customer experience. You can measure it up and down. How long does it take me to get through this interaction? Or what is an SLA that I have? And those are the metrics. And then you can layer on things like first call resolution, understanding the average handle time, those types of things. And then obviously we all want to collate to CSAT, ESAT, and those other KPIs. We do have a laundry list of about 150 standard KPIs that we traditionally see. Feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to share that with anyone at this particular time. But I'm also going to, transition this over to Rob, and then maybe you can push that question over to Sundar as well. I'd love to get your thoughts, Rob. What were your top 2 or 3 critical KPIs that you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, you're right on the money, Greg. I mean, time is money, and also it filters into the speed of resolution, right? So customer satisfaction is the other one that's very important.
The balance that you talked about, it's the balance you talked about, right? So it's both CSAT and time is money comment that Rob made. It's the fine art of balance.
Thank you all. Okay, so we have another question, and this one is from Sally, and this is for you, Rob. How long did your whole project take to complete? It sounds like a lot of work. It certainly does.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, or it is a lot of work. It continues, right? We're continuing to work on it and make it better. We started in late 22, and we had another integrator that really didn't do a good job. So we started with Argano in early 2024, and we've really built the system and proper during 2024 and 2023. I'm sorry, we started with Argano in 23.
Thank you very much. And now I think this one is probably for you, Sundar. So does the knowledge management agent, excuse me, access our existing KMS, or do I need to port data to a Microsoft KMS?
Yeah, the good news is we have in preview right now ability to connect to your existing knowledge. For example, could be Confluence or other such systems. So you have now really 2 clear choices. If you wanted to optimize your performance, have really real-time response, then you would port it in to Dynamics 365 knowledge base. But if you wanted to keep your current knowledge system, you have that option to do that as well. Through Copilot Studio, you can point it to the right places, and the Copilot will pick it up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I think that is just about all we've got time for. Sorry to everyone who's asked questions that we've not quite got to. What I would say is that if you want to continue this conversation, as Greg mentioned, you can find all of the speakers that you've seen today on LinkedIn. I'd like to just give you another reminder as well that in our resources box, you can find a report written by Argano and CX Network about how CX is going to be changed by AI in 2025. It's super interesting and free to download, so give it a read. And also there have been a couple of people asking, we have recorded the webinar. You will be able to revisit today's talking points if you've missed anything or want to share this with your colleagues. Keep an eye out for an email from CX Network with instructions on how to do that. But for now, thank you so much to all of our speakers, Greg, Sundar, and Rob, for joining us. And thank you to all the attendees who have spent time with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Thanks.